I'm Brandon Cullins, and I want to talk to you a little bit about kind of the basics of my training, and I'll show you this, how I work horses. And this way I do it. I do this with all of my horses, from 2-year-olds to 10-year-olds. Like, they all get this. And this is kind of like, not my daily routine, but if I'm going to work a horse on the barrels, this is usually what I'll do. If I'm not working on any issues, this is just how I keep them normal, keep them soft, and basically train them. And like I said, I'll do it to my 2-year-olds, and then the good horses I've won a bunch of money on, they get it too. Like, they'll go back to it. Obviously the colts get it a lot more than the older horses, but it's the same principle, same thing. I like to keep everything the same, a little bit of repetition, but not too much. But here, I'll go ahead and show you what I do. I like to train a lot out of trot, and I do lope to the barrels a lot too, but with this drill or exercise or whatever you guys want to call it, but I trot, mostly I'll trot. I'll start off by trotting to the first barrel. Ooh. And I like to, I might come up the middle of the pen more than a lot of people, but I like to come straight up right next to the, in line next to the third barrel, and I like to stop my horses with their hip at the barrel. And this is where I want them to kind of set their feet and be making a move. And I feel that when you start going faster, everything gets a little bit shorter and quicker, so I want them to think they need to get all the way up in here. And that way, when I'm running down the alleyway, I can kind of take a straight line up the middle of the pen, and then when I go to turn a horse to the first barrel, I can just kind of open my hand and change their direction, and that's how I get the rate, where I don't have to pull them down to slow them down. Their direction change slows them down, then they set their feet, and then they can really get in and out of a barrel quick. So my first point on the first, I'll stop them here. I'll pick my reins up and kind of go forward. I'll go ahead and walk him around first. And then I get to my next point back here, clear of the barrel, and I kind of come down and make a straight line down to the back side of the barrel. Then I come back over and make a point straight to the left side of the second barrel. Then when I get to my point here where it's clear, I come back over. So I'm always wanting to keep, then I'll start over again here and hit that last point. But I always want to keep the barrel behind my leg, in the horse's hip. That way it keeps their shoulders clear. So then they're pulling with their front end, and that hind end stays engaged, and they keep that power, and they can really get in and out quick. Because I feel like if you get a horse's shoulder on the barrel, what happens? See, he knows he's not supposed to be here, but their hips swing. So you lose all that power when I say I got a shoulder in on the barrel. So my biggest thing is to keep that shoulder clear and hit those points. And I keep these kind of mental points. It's like a box around the barrel. And I keep those points, the horses clear, kind of coming around those points so they stay moving. That way I feel like they can really, when they get to the backside, they can hit that spot and really take off fast, because if they're trying to make their point or make their move behind the barrel, which a rounder horse can get away with that, but a stiffer, quicker horse, they need to get clear of the barrel so they can rock off that inside hip, roll back over, and then take off. So they're running from behind the barrel. That way, I feel like that's faster, because if they're too round and they kind of wash out and then overturn the barrel and then they're up here, this is where they're going to start taking off to make your move across. So I feel like that's eating up time. So that's my idea on why I do that. And then I come over to my second, and I'll stop again right here with the barrel behind my leg in their hip. And I'm gonna take my first move, my second point's right here. Come back over, head back down towards the back of the arena. And I'll give a little bit of shape to them and come back over towards my first. And then my finishing point, like I said, I'm gonna keep real clear of the barrel. It kind of doesn't make sense because you think you need to be tight leaving it, but I feel like that, moving your point outside of the barrel makes it, in the run will make it quicker, because like I said, everything kind of shortens up when you run. So if you're training them to turn back here and they shorten up, it's gonna be even tighter, and then your barrel's gonna get in the way. and you're going to have to be holding them up on the backside instead of hitting that point and letting them leave really fast. So I feel like that really puts a really quick move on the backside and makes them leave, and then they take off running from back here. So that's why I'm really big on these points. And I'll catch myself sometimes if a colt's getting a little bit tight or wanting to leave the barrel a little bit early, then I'm thinking, oh, where am I working them? I got to go back and make sure I'm really putting that point, getting them to that point and not getting lazy. Now I like to pick a straight line all the way to my third, or all my barrels really, but same thing here. I stop him with the barrel in his flank to my first point, pick my reins up, move him forward, come to my second point, ask him to kind of make a little bit of move over. I kind of want that, I want to feel that shoulder kind of come over. And then I want to feel that hip stay in and that shoulder kind of step over itself. So he's really pulling with his front feet and he's using his back end for power. And you see I'm making those little like quarter turns. Once I feel that in one, then I know I'm making a little bit of progress. So I usually start this at a trot and then walk around it, and then I'll go to a trot and trot around it, and I'll also go to a lope and then trot around it, and then I'll lope around it a little bit, but mostly everything's done at a trot because I feel like the trot is most like the run, so I want to train them most like I'm going to run them. And I feel like the footwork that you get working on one at a trot is most similar to what you're going to be in a competition run. So I do most of my training at a trot. And then you can really start playing with it a little bit. And when I stop one, I don't want to like cram them in the ground. I kind of like let them take a couple steps to stop. Because if you think about it, in a run, they're never like locking down and stopping like rain or stop. They're always, they're slowing their front feet down, but they're slowing their back end down by sticking it in the ground, and then their front feet are kind of pulling themselves to the barrel. So I like to break them into a stop that way where they're not, because I feel like if you stop them too hard, they lock their front legs and get peggy on you, and they lose that pull. So I like to break them into a soft stop like that. And then when I'm trotting around them, this is, I feel like I get where I really train a horse. So I'm doing, squeezing my reins a little bit when I feel that inside hind leg come up underneath them. I'm kind of bumping their face a little, just kind of like I'm wringing a sponge out. That's about all the pressure I want on them. And that really keeps them driving up behind them, from behind, and keeps them moving. So I'll keep a little bit of shape in them, like this colt wants to be a little bit more round, and naturally I need to leave them that way. But I'm hitting those points all the way around the barrels, keeping them clear. That way, when I go to run, I don't really have to move him anywhere. I can just kind of set my hand and let him pull himself around. Also, when I come across to stop one, I kind of, I open my inside rein up. I don't want to like go across the pen when I'm tuning on one and like pick my inside rein up and really move them over. I want them to go there on their own. And like I said, I'll put them on the honor system. I'll open that up so that they keep this side of their body loose, and then they kind of use that outside rein to guide them. I kind of keep it in their neck. They use that to guide them to their point, and they stay collected to keep that hip from going out. That way they come into this point like this, where he's kind of a little bit angled away from it, but now he can really pull himself around because his hip's in the ground. So I feel like whenever you get into trouble, it's when their hip goes away from them and their front feet stop moving. So I'm really big on keeping that hip in and keeping their front feet pulling. So once I stop and go back to my second point, then I really will work them around. And they'll start wanting to get a little bit short on you, so you really have to go back and just make sure you stay true to your spots. It'll really pay off in the long run in making them leave a barrel easy and level. And you get a lot of power from it. You can see that move there, he was pretty quick and in the right direction. See there, he wanted to kind of cut me a little bit on the backside. So I just kind of come back around and really be waiting for it this time. Push him all the way up, clear the barrel, and then let him come back around to himself. Working on these points, I think you can start feeling them get really fluid and smooth, and then to me that's your fastest runs, are those smooth, easy runs where they almost don't feel fast because everything is just level and going in the right direction. And working on these points, keeping them level, keeping them up underneath themselves, I feel like that's how I get that out of my horses. Is really they never hit a roadblock. That way, when you keep them clear of the barrels like that, they can always move forward. It's a whole lot easier to bring your horse closer to the barrel when they're up underneath themselves and driving than it is to try to keep one off a barrel. It's a lot faster if you can help one on the backside just by opening your hand and asking them to leave than it is 2/3 of the way around, you're kind of begging them by and holding them up. So that's my theory on that. And like I said, that to me, that calms my horses down a lot. If they start getting ahead of themselves, getting aggressive, I go back to that. And it really, they understand it, they grasp it easy, and it's really comfortable and easy for them. And you do that a couple trips and they'll settle right in. You can you'll end up just have your rein in the middle of your horse's neck, and they'll go to their points and wait on you, and then you know you're ready to go make a run.